back to a new weekly reading vlog. Today is actually Tuesday that I'm filming this. I didn't end up starting the vlog yesterday. Again, I was feeling really tired yesterday, so I did read a bit, but I didn't read much in the evening, and I just didn't feel like updating. I actually went to bed really early, so I am feeling a lot more awake this evening, so I wanted to do some reading updates for you. So this evening I didn't read a huge amount when I got home from work, because I attended a online book event with Carissa Broadbent, which was really good. I really enjoy listening to authors talk about their books and the writing process and little tidbits of information that they give you, you know, like behind the scenes stuff that you don't necessarily normally hear about. I really enjoy attending these talks. Unfortunately, where I live, we don't really get a lot of like in-person book events. I don't live really close to a big city that has, you know, when authors go on book tours, they don't really go anywhere that is close to where I live. So any time that I see an online book event, I try and join those when I can. Waterstones do quite a lot. I attended one near Christmas time, which was with Megan Quinn and Lucy Score, and that was really good. And I am really excited for Carissa Broadbent's upcoming books. As you have probably seen in some of my previous videos, I recently read the first 2 books in the Crowns of Nyaxia series, and I have book 3 on hold from the library, which I'm eagerly anticipating getting my hands on, but for now I'm not currently reading any of her books. Her new one, well, it's not a new one, but it's a re-release, Slaying the Vampire Conqueror, which is a standalone book that takes part in the Crowns of Nyaxia world, and that was originally indie published, and it's been re-released as traditionally published. And in the UK, I think it comes out on the 27th of March, which is this Thursday. I think it's coming out, which is really exciting. It's still available on Kindle Unlimited, so I do actually have it checked out from Kindle Unlimited at the moment, so I will be reading that soon. But in terms of my reading update for today, what I have been reading is this one, which is A Promise of Peridot by Kate Golden. This is book 2 in the, I think it's Sacred, what's it called? Sacred Stars? Sacred Stones? Sacred something? It doesn't actually does it tell me anywhere? I was hoping it was going to give me the name of the, yes, Sacred Stones, sorry, Sacred Stones trilogy. And this is book 2. I read the first book, which is A Dawn of Onyx, last month, I think, and I liked that one. I gave it 3 stars, I'm pretty sure. And this is book 2, and I am really enjoying this one so far. So this one picks up where book 1 kind of left off. So I will give some slight spoilers for book 1, but we are following Arwen and Cain, and Arwen finds out at the end of book 1 a bit more about her identity and who she is, and she is basically part of a prophecy which is going to take down the Fae King, who is Cain's father. And I won't go into too much of the details of the prophecy because I don't want to spoil it, but in this one we are seeing Arwen coming to terms with her identity and the part that she has to play in this prophecy. And she also is feeling the betrayal of Cain, because Cain knew, like, the whole time that they were getting to know each other in book 1 about her identity, and he didn't tell her until he was basically forced to at the end. And so she is very resentful of that throughout this book, and we see them kind of slowly rekindle their relationship. And this book is very much, I would say, like a journey book. They are traveling through a different city within the kingdom, kind of seeking refuge, and they are seeking out this blade, this sword that is supposed to help them take down this king, and they are trying to find that, and so they journey throughout this book. And there was a moment in here where one of the side characters gets injured, and I genuinely thought that the author was going to kill them off, and I was like, oh no. And I was reading it on the bus this morning, I was like actually had like a intake of breath moment, but thankfully they seem to have pulled through. I'm really, as I say, really enjoying this one so far. I'm liking this a lot more than book one. I did think that when I read book one, it had a lot of promise. I feel like book one there was a lot of elements being set up, which is why I didn't necessarily love it, but I could see that there was, you know, the potential for me to really enjoy the story. This one, I feel the second book is definitely more kind of character driven rather than necessarily world building driven. I did like the city that they were just in. I can't remember what that was called actually, but it was like an underwater city, and that sounded really interesting, but we didn't spend a lot of time there, and that wasn't necessarily like very well developed in my opinion. I feel like this book, and potentially the rest of the series, I don't know, the next book I'm not sure, but this one definitely feels more character focused rather than focused on the world and the world building and the magic system. It definitely is a more character driven book, and I'm not complaining about that necessarily, because I do really enjoy these characters. I'm liking seeing the different relationships and different dynamics play out. As I say, we are seeing Arwen and Cain getting closer together. There was I thought potentially a love triangle that was kind of going to get introduced, but I feel like that it's kind of sort of hinted at, but it didn't really go fully into a love triangle between Arwen, Frederick and Prince Frederick and Cain, but it didn't fully go into a full-on love triangle like I thought it was going to. I also really like Mary and Griffin, and I wonder if potentially they might get their own book series at some point. I'm not sure, because I assume the last book is still going to follow Arwen and Cain, so I'll be interested to see what this author does next. I have not got very much left of this, to be honest. I've maybe got like 20 or so pages, maybe even more than 20 actually, like 40 maybe pages left, but I don't feel like I'm going to get that done this evening, so I will probably get this wrapped up tomorrow, and I'll obviously update you tomorrow when I've finished it. I also have Bonded of Thorns that I really want to get finished, but I didn't take that with me on the bus yesterday or today, because I just didn't feel like carrying a hardback, is the honest explanation. So I'm not sure if I'm going to take this one with me tomorrow, because I have so little left to read. I might pick up a brand new book to take with me on the bus tomorrow, and then I will just finish this when I get home, because this I'll get done like quite quickly tomorrow, like probably even before I get to work, if I took it on the bus, and I don't want to have to necessarily carry two books with me, so I think I'll just grab a new one. I'm not sure which one I'm going to start, but that is my update for today. I hope you guys are having a good week so far, and I will update you tomorrow when I have hopefully finished that book, and when I've obviously got in a bit further into something else as well. I wanted to update you all on today's reading, and today I'm really happy I finished 2 books, which is really good going. Obviously I didn't fully read these in one day, I just had very little left in both of these books, and I managed to get them wrapped up today, which is really good. And I also started a new one, so let's dive into the books that I have read. So I did finish A Promise of Peridot by Kate golden, and I did really enjoy this one. I gave this one 4 stars. I thought it was a really good solid continuation of the series. Book 1 I gave 3 stars to, and this one really did build on that first book, and I really enjoyed seeing Arwen and Kane's romance develop throughout this one. This one does end on a cliffhanger, which is fairly typical of fantasy romance books, I feel like, but I have sadly discovered that my library does not actually currently have the 3rd book in stock. The paperback version I think comes out in a couple of weeks' time, so I'm hoping that they might get it, but if not, I think I might end up having to buy a copy of that just so I can complete this trilogy, because I do really want to find out what is going to happen next. As I say, this one ends on a really big cliffhanger. I obviously won't spoil it for you, but there is a cliffhanger at the end of this one, so if you are reading this series, you are probably going to want to have book 3 on hand, ready to dive in and see what is going to happen to Arwen and Kane next. And yeah, can't wait to get my hands on the 3rd one so I can complete this trilogy. But I do think that this is a solid trilogy. I don't think it's necessarily going to be a favourite series, but I think it is definitely a solid read and definitely worth checking out if you like fae and fantasy romance. Definitely one to keep an eye out on. Then I did finish Bonded by Thorns by Elizabeth Helen, and I gave this one 3.5 stars, but I did round it up to a 4-star on Goodreads. So this one is a Beauty and the Beast retelling following Rosalina and 4 fae princes, and it is going to be her kind of romance with all 4 of them, I think. But this one is very much the beginning book. There are 4 books in this series, and this definitely does have kind of very much the symptoms of a first book, in terms of there is a lot of information getting provided in terms of the characters that are being introduced, the kind of world building, and the actual romance elements are not really very slim in here. This one definitely is more of a starter book, and I am interested to continue on with the series 100%, but if you are looking for kind of a romance, the romance element isn't really in this one. I think from what I've seen of other reviews, it definitely picks up in the future books, which I'm definitely looking forward to picking up. I have got book 2 on order from the library, so hopefully that will come in soon, so I'll be able to get onto that quickly whilst the story is still fresh in my mind. This one is quite a short read as well. I got through it quite quickly. The writing is quite, I think I mentioned in a previous clip, in terms of that it has a very addictive quality to it, in terms of it really drew me in. I did want to keep reading this one. So definitely worth a read in my opinion. And then the book that I have started today is The Charlie Method by Elle Kennedy, and I'm really liking this one so far. I really enjoy Elle Kennedy's writing. I really like the way she tells a story, and she kind of draws you in, and with very interesting characters, I feel like. And this one is going to be a romance between Charlotte, Beckett and Will, and I am really looking forward to delving further into this one. It's still obviously quite early days with this romance so far, so it's still in the setting up stages, but so far we have been introduced to Charlie, aka Charlotte, and Will and Beckett, and they have obviously introduced themselves to one another. Charlie is it's on this kind of well, it's not a dating app, but like a hookup app that she uses. She hooks up with random guys quite a lot. She's not really necessarily into having a relationship, but she does hook up with different guys. And Will and Beckett like to hook up with girls together, and they are on this hookup app as well to find obviously girls that would be interested in that, and they start talking to Charlie on there, but they keep their identities hidden, so the profile pictures that they use on this app are just of body shops without their faces in there, so people can't identify them easily. And so they're very much like in the talking stage at the moment and getting to kind of know one another a bit, and obviously it's going to progress from there, and I'm really interested to see where this one goes. I really enjoyed the Dixon Rule, which is book 2 in this series, and I really have high hopes that I will enjoy this one as well. I have been seeing mixed reviews for this one, and I think this one has got quite a lower Goodreads average rating in comparison to the other 2 books in this series, so I am interested to see where I end up falling with this one, but I do hope I enjoy it, because as I say, I've enjoyed Elle Kennedy's previous books, and I've not got too far into this one. I'm only about 100 pages in, so I will probably get more read tomorrow, and I will update you tomorrow with more updates on this one. I haven't listened to any of my audiobook today. I listened to maybe like a couple of chapters yesterday, but I was still slowly working my way through that one. Which is For Her Consideration by Amy Spalding, but I am really enjoying that one. I'm not sure if I've done any updates on that one actually, but that one is my Afterlight book, and I actually managed to find the audiobook on Anyplay, and I've been listening to the audiobook, and so far I've been really enjoying it. It is a FF romance between I can't remember her name. I'm just getting the book here so I can have a look. It's Nina and Ari. And Nina works in this kind of PR firm type thing, where she basically responds to celebrity emails as the celebrity. And Ari is a actress. Is she an actress? Yeah, she's an actress. She is an actress, and she basically doesn't like the way that Nina has been responding to her email. She doesn't feel like Nina sounds authentically like Ari, which is obviously which is what she's supposed to be doing. And so she sets up a meeting with Nina to kind of get to know one another, so that Nina can write more authentic sounding emails, and their romance develops from there. And they've just kind of split up, and I've got to a point where they are kind of starting to talk again, and they split up for a fairly weak reason. Basically, Nina has written or wants to write a script, and is in the process of writing a script, and Ari has given it to one of her contacts, even though Nina said, it's not ready, I'm not wanting it to be shared at this moment. But Ari went ahead and shared it with one of her contacts in the industry, and obviously that Nina wasn't happy with that, so they did break up over that. And as I say, we are just kind of getting to the point now where they are kind of trying to rekindle. They've just started talking to one another again, so I'm interested to see how this one does get wrapped up, but so far it's a good read. I am enjoying listening to the audiobook. I can't remember who narrates it, but it is a good audiobook, so if you're looking to listen to a book, this one is definitely worth a listen to. Sometimes I feel like I'm not sure whether I would have enjoyed it as much if I was physically reading it. Sometimes I feel like the audiobook can make or break a book, and this audiobook is definitely working for me. So I don't know if I will get this one finished this week, but I hope to, because it's on my March TBR, but I think I'm not going to meet my target for my March TBR, because I've still got my non-fiction and Kindle book to read, and I've not started either of those, so don't think we're going to make that this month, but we'll see. And I will see you tomorrow, which is Thursday, for more updates on my reading. So it is now Saturday, and I thought I would do a reading update for what I've read the past couple of days, because I didn't do an update on Thursday or Friday, but I have finished, since I last updated you, For Her Consideration by Amy Spalding. I did really enjoy this one, and I gave it 4 stars, and the This one was just a solid romance. I feel like it's an FF romance, a sapphic romance between Nina and Ari, and they meet through Nina's work, and their relationship goes from there. And I did really like this one. As I say, the romance element was good. It was a solid romance. There was also other elements dealing with Nina's friendship. She had past trauma from a previous relationship, and I thought it was handled really well. Maybe not a favourite romance, but definitely a good solid one, and definitely if you're looking for a sapphic romance, I would recommend this one. It was good. It was a good read. As I say, I listened to that one on audio and I did really enjoy the audio. Then we have The Charlie Method by Elle Kennedy, which I finished reading this morning. I don't think I'd mentioned that I'd started this one in my last update, but I've read this over the past couple of days and I did really enjoy this one. I gave it 4 stars. It's not my favourite from Elle Kennedy, but it wasn't bad. So in this one we are following Charlie, Beckett and Will, and it is their romance with all 3 of them. So Charlie is in a sorority house, a Greek sorority house, and they very much pride themselves on being you know, exemplary women. They don't drink in public, they don't swear, and all of those kind of things that they view as being like the perfect woman. And so Charlie has really struggled with that because she has kind of desires that don't kind of align with that, and she very much feels like she has to hide part of herself. And when she starts seeing both Will and Beckett, she very much feels like it is something to be ashamed of that she is seeing these 2 guys, and she keeps it quiet for a really long time. And obviously it's her kind of, they're developing romance and how you navigate that when there are 3 people involved. And I thought it was really interesting to kind of see those dynamics play out, because throughout a lot of the romance, Will was kind of the one that she was kind of publicly saying was her boyfriend, but obviously she was also seeing Beckett as well. But Will was the kind of one that she was publicly declaring as a boyfriend, and the kind of dynamics that has and how she kind of thought that Beckett might feel about that. And I liked that aspect. It was really interesting to read. I've not read too many stories like this that involve 3 people that are where it is focused on kind of the relationship. I've read ones where it's very much focused on the physical relationship, and obviously we don't really see that kind of navigation because it's just like the physical side of things, but this really delved into that and I did enjoy that. And Beckett and Will have obviously got their own issues going on as well. Beckett he is Australian, and his family moved from Australia to the US, and he is kind of dealing with a bit of homesickness. He definitely wants to go back to Australia, and also there is a ex-girlfriend that is talked about, and I won't say what happens with her because it is kind of a spoiler, because something is revealed about that halfway through the book or later on in the book. And so he's dealing with that, and that obviously has an impact on how he wants to handle the relationship with Charlie and Will. And then Will's father is a politician, and they have a very tricky relationship. Will feels that his dad only wants to kind of interact with him to be part of, like, to boost his political image. And so there is obviously conflict there. And I forgot to mention that Charlie is also adopted. And so there is a side plot of her kind of struggling with her identity, because she was adopted from Korea, I think, or somewhere like that. I think it was Korea. So she has this sense of like whether she belongs in her family, because when she was a child she felt that if she did something wrong, that her family would send her back. and that obviously kind of plays into how she doesn't want to disappoint them and why she's nervous about pursuing the relationship with Will and Beckett, because she's worried about how her family will react. And she also finds her biological sibling, and she, again, that's something that she has to navigate, because she's had a very good life. Her adoptive parents are great, and she's had a really happy, stable family life, whereas he has not, and obviously he is quite bitter about that. So, and there is obviously a side plot there. This is quite a long book. It's over 500 pages, but I didn't feel like it dragged too much. There were like the odd moment where I was thinking this could have potentially been shorter, but overall I did really enjoy reading this, and it didn't take me very long to get through it. I will say that the ending, the thing with this story is I was wondering where this relationship was going to go and how it was going to work like long term, and I'm not sure if I necessarily have that. When I finish certain romances, you have that kind of image in your mind that these characters are going to be together forever, and you can definitely see a future with them, and I'm just not sure if I see these characters like in the future lasting as like the three of them together. And that's kind of what kind of, I guess, marked this down for me in comparison to like the Dixon Rule. I really enjoyed that one because I could definitely envisage those characters being together long term, whereas I'm not sure if I see that long term for these characters. But it was a really good read. Definitely, if you like Elle Kennedy's books, I would recommend this series. I still need to go back and read The Graham Effect, which is the first book in this series, and yeah, I definitely recommend it. And if you haven't read any of Elle Kennedy's books, this series is a spin-off of the Briar U series and the Off-Campus series. It's set at the same college that those books take place at, and we do see some of the characters from that series featuring here, because they are now obviously older, and they are mothers and fathers. So we do see some of the characters in here are children of some of the characters from the first books that she wrote. But saying that, you don't necessarily have to have read those books. I've only read The Deal and the Mistake from her. That's the Off-Campus series, I think. Is that right? Yes, I've only read books 1 and 2 of the Off-Campus series. I've not read any of the Briar U books, but I didn't have a problem diving into this series, so I would definitely recommend it. Elle Kennedy's writing is really fun and easy to follow, so definitely worth a read if you are looking for kind of college sports romances. That's predominantly what she writes, and yes, I would highly recommend. I want to update you on the audiobook that I finished listening to, which was The Villa by Jess Ryder, and I gave this one 3 stars. This was an audiobook that I had out from the library, and I needed to listen to it like ASAP because it was due back, and I couldn't renew it because other people were waiting for it, so I needed to get it listened to. So I've sat and listened, whilst I've been getting on with things, I've listened to that today, and I gave this one 3 stars. I didn't really like this one, it's not that I didn't like it, it was just that it was okay. It was a very basic thriller. What drew me into this one was the cover. I'd seen the cover in store and the premise sounded interesting, and so I decided to pick it up. So in this one we have it's told in past and present, which isn't necessarily always my favourite format for mystery thrillers, but this one we have 3 years ago, a group of friends, there's five friends? Yeah, 5 friends go out to Malaga, is it? Or somewhere like that, for a hen party. Obviously there's the bride and 4 friends. They go out to, I think it's somewhere in Spain, for a hen party, and then the bride ends up dead. And we fast forward 3 years into the future, and obviously they are kind of coming to terms with that, and they've all kind of moved on with their lives. But Danny, who's kind of like the central character, I would say, she has questions about that night. So the death of the bride got concluded as a murder by a like an interrupted burglary, and so they've never really found out who did it, but that's kind of what the police, the kind of conclusion that the police have come to. But Dani still has questions about that night because there are gaps in her memory, and so she really wants to go back to the villa where it all happened to see if she can kind of remember what obviously happened. And she kind of tricks the other girls into going along, and she makes it to be kind of a memorial trip, because it's like the 3-year anniversary, and she doesn't tell them that they're going to go back to this villa, and when they find out, they're obviously not very happy. But the story kind of progresses from there, and we get, as I say, past flashbacks of what happened in the past, and obviously what's happening in the present, and obviously turning back up in Spain is going to cause some people not to be very happy, and it could cause trouble for the group of friends. And I don't want to give too much away because obviously it is a mystery, so you're trying to figure out what happened and who's responsible. I wasn't really invested in this story, I'm not gonna lie. We get the different perspectives of the different women, and I didn't really feel connected to any of them. All of them had they were all kind of unlikable in some way, which I think was obviously deliberate, but when they're all unlikable, it does make it harder to kind of root for them. And yeah, past and present narration in mystery thrillers isn't always my favourite. Sometimes I like it, but other times it doesn't really work for me. And in this one, as I say, I just didn't feel super invested in the story. So as I was reading, I wasn't super kind of must find out what's happened. And the reveal, I feel, was not the best. Like, it was okay, but like it wasn't super shocking, and I didn't, although it's not something that I predicted, it also just felt very convenient, I guess. So overall, yeah, it was a 3-star read. It wasn't bad, but it also wasn't my favourite. I don't know if I'd necessarily recommend it. If you read a lot from this genre, it's not probably one that you'll probably want to pick up, but it's it would probably be good for a summer beach read. It's definitely got those summer vibes. The cover certainly does, at least. And obviously it is set abroad, so you do kind of get beach parties and things like that. So yeah, a 3-star read for me, but it was okay. I got it obviously read in time. And then I've started a couple of other things. So I have started back listening to my audiobook of Ricochet because I needed a new audiobook, and I'm really trying to get those last few books in from my March TBR in before the end of the month, which is difficult considering we are on the 29th of March today. So I have tried to listen to that, and this is a continuation of Lily and Lo's story, who we meet in the first book, which is called Addicted, and they obviously both have different addictions. So Lily has a sex addiction and Lo has a alcohol addiction, and at the end, I don't remember fully all the details of Addicted, but the Lo has just entered into rehab, and so Lily is dealing with being away from him whilst also obviously dealing with her own addiction, and that's I'm not too far into it at the moment, and they have quite a few books that follow this same couple, and I really want to try and continue on with this series and get this series read. So that's where I'm at with an audiobook, and I did start my ebook of Return to Us by Corinne Michaels, but I am very beginning stages. I've only read the first few chapters of that, because again, I'm trying to complete my March TBR. I'm not sure if that is going to happen, but I am going to really try. That is what I'm going to focus on this weekend, to try and get those 3 books that I still have to read done. Ricochet, I'm not sure how long the audiobook is actually. Just having a quick look here, see if it tells me. It's an 8-hour, nearly 9-hour audiobook, so I could probably get that listened to. I've started, as I say, today. I could probably get that done. Probably not today, but certainly tomorrow I should be able to get that done. Ebook, I could probably get done by tomorrow as well. And then the only other thing I have to read is my Mindy Kaling book. I'm just trying to move some things out the way, which is this one. Hit myself in the face with it. Why Not Me by Mindy Kaling. I feel like this could potentially be quite a quick read as well. So I will try and get this done as well. As I say, I really do want to complete my March TBR, but we are running out of days in which to get it done. And I also want to obviously get my March wrap-up filmed. So I'm not sure if I'm going to film that I might have to film that on Monday evening and hope that I've finished everything in time, because I ideally want to film it with natural lighting, but obviously there won't be any on Monday night. It'll be like artificial light like you see here. So we'll see. As I say, really trying to do that, and I will update you a bit later on. Hopefully I will have got further into one of these books and we'll have some more updates for you. I wanted to update you all because I have finished reading, or listening to I should say, Ricochet by Krista and Becca Ritchie, and I like this one. I gave it 4 stars. I think it's a solid continuation in the series. So for those who don't know, this is the part of the Addicted series, and the Addicted books follow Lily and Lo's story. I think they have like 4 or 5 books, and then there is another series that follows another couple, like that's kind of connected. There is a suggested reading order on the author's website, and that's kind of the reading order that I am following. But in this one, as I say, it continues on from where book 1 finishes off. So this is not a complete story, so you don't get a kind of happy ending at the end of this one, because there's more books that are obviously going to follow this couple. So in this one, at the end of book 1, Lo ends up going to rehab because he has an alcohol addiction and Lily has a sex addiction. So it's quite a turbulent relationship that they have, because they both have their own addictions, and their kind of relationship almost kind of fuels each other's addiction. And so in this one, Lo is in rehab and Lily is obviously not in rehab, but she is going to therapy to help with her addiction, and they're both obviously trying to work on their addictions whilst also being separated, which is very hard for them because they are very close. Obviously they do have a romantic relationship, but first and foremost they are friends, and so it is very hard for both of them to be away. So it is quite difficult at times to read because they are obviously both struggling, but overall I thought this was a good addition to the series, and I am going to be continuing on with the series. I do want to see where this story goes. This series in some ways reminds me a little bit of the Magnolia Parks series, not necessarily because of the content, but in the Magnolia Parks books, and I've only read the first one, which I didn't necessarily like. I think I gave it 3 stars, and I haven't continued on with the series, and I don't plan to continue on with that series. But we're following quite wealthy characters, and the lifestyle of the rich characters that we follow, going to parties, lots of drama and things like that. So in some levels it reminds me of that. So I think if you like the Magnolia Park series, you could potentially really like this one, although I feel like there is a little bit more obviously heavier topics going on in this one. As I say, I can't speak for the whole of the Magnolia Park series because I've not read them all, but from what I recall of the first book, that one wasn't like super heavy, but obviously ones in the later on in the series might get heavier. So I'm really happy that I finished that one, and I am reading Return to Us by Corinne Michaels, which so far I'm enjoying. So it is a small town romance, and we follow Grayson and Jessica. And Jessica was a flight attendant, and she was involved in a plane crash. So she is back in her hometown, which is a small town called Willow Creek, I think it is, and she's basically recovering there. She's suffering from obviously the trauma of the plane crash. She had obviously physical injuries, and she's also got mental injuries as well. She suffers quite badly with reoccurring nightmares of the crash, and because she had a brain injury as well, so she suffers from quite debilitating headaches. They're not obviously all the time, but they do come on sometimes out of nowhere, and they are really debilitating for her. And Grayson is a single father who Jessica used to have a relationship with, but she broke it off, and she's back in town, and they are kind of not rekindling their relationship just yet, but they are kind of rekindling their friendship and getting used to being back around each other. Grayson's sister, I think her name was Stella, or is Stella, has hired Jessica to be a manager at their hotel, their family-owned hotel, and so Grayson and Jessica are starting to spend more time around each other, and Jessica has just met her Grayson's daughter, and so they've obviously had some interactions. And the reason that they broke up is because they kind of come from two separate sides of the tracks. Grayson's family is very wealthy. They own this big hotel business, so they have, I think, one in this town, and then they have like other hotels elsewhere as well. And so they are very wealthy, and Jessica is from a not so wealthy family, and Grayson's family definitely didn't think that she was good enough for their son, and that's kind of what fueled her to break up with him in the first place. So I'm really looking forward to kind of seeing their relationship redevelop. I love single dad romances, so I'm hoping to see more interactions with Grayson's daughter. I really like seeing that. I know some people in single parent romances don't like seeing the kids very much, but I think that is what obviously works in them for me, like seeing the kid, because obviously, you know, if you are getting into a relationship and have a child, the child is going to be a part of that on some level, because they are obviously going to be around. So if we have a book where we have a single parent and we don't see the kid, that is, to me, it seems a bit odd that we wouldn't see the kid and we wouldn't see them interacting with the partner. Obviously not necessarily straight away, but over time we should definitely see some of those interactions, and I really like seeing that. And obviously this is going to be a second chance one as well. So yes, so far really enjoying this one, and I will update you later on once I have read a bit more. I'll be honest, it's kind of thrown me a bit today because the clocks have gone forward in the UK, so when I woke up it was obviously later than I was expecting because of the clock change, so I don't know where my day's going to go because I'm kind of off kilter already, but I will update you once I have read more. I was going to wrap up my vlog this evening, which is Sunday, but I've decided to extend it and carry it on into Monday. There's a couple of reasons why. Firstly, I didn't start this week's vlog on Monday, I started it on Tuesday, and secondly, Monday is the last month of March, so I thought I could kind of wrap up March in the vlog. Hopefully, fingers crossed, finish my March books, which I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but we shall certainly see. So I am 74% of the way through Return to Us by Corinne Michaels, and I am really enjoying this one. I really like the relationship between Jessica and Grayson. It's a second chance romance, so they have gotten back together quite quickly. But obviously because they have had that previous relationship, they already have that connection. They already know, you know, quite a lot about each other because they have a past. So they have gotten together very quickly. I really like seeing Jessica's interactions with Amelia, which is Grayson's daughter. I am getting a little bit nervous I assume there's probably going to be a third act breakup. at some point we're obviously getting close to that point, and I'm a little bit nervous for how that's going to be handled. I feel like that could definitely have an impact potentially on my rating depending on how that is handled if it comes about. One of the things I'm not necessarily a huge fan of this book is in this book is that Jessica has therapy sessions because of the trauma that she has from the plane crash that she was in as part of her job, which happens at the beginning of the book. And I don't really necessarily like, or I'm not necessarily enjoying the therapy scenes. It's not my favourite thing to read about personally, but that's kind of only a minor complaint. But overall, I'm really enjoying this one. I definitely would read more books in this series. And that is the reading update that I have for today. I hopefully can get that finished tomorrow. According to my Kindle, I have like about an hour left to read. So I think it is doable to get that read. And then I just need to start my Mindy Kaling one tomorrow. But I'm going to take it on the bus with me. And I think I could potentially get that done as well. And I have a book package that has arrived today. This one is actually a pre-order that wasn't supposed to come out until I think the 4th of April, so it has arrived early, which is a nice surprise. So I'm going to open it up and show you what I got. Let's see. So it is 9-Month Contract by Amy Dawes. And this one I am really excited for. I really like the cover of this, and this one came with sprayed edges as well. And this one is about a guy, I don't know what his name is. Does it actually say anywhere? No, it doesn't actually say. But this one follows a guy who wants to be a single father, and he I don't know if he does or his friends like put out an ad to find a surrogate for him, and this is when he meets Trista, who becomes obviously a part of his life as the surrogate for him. And I think it's a Grumpy Sunshine romance, and I really like those, so I'm excited to check this one out. I've not read anything from this author before, I don't think. No, I was just having a look at some of her backlist, but no, I don't think I have read anything from her previously, although I'm sure I have seen her books about. So I am looking forward to getting into this one. I'm not sure when I will get it picked up, but I will get to it at some point, and obviously when I do I will let you know if it's any good. This is the first book in a new series. It's called the Mountain Men Matchmaker series, and if I do enjoy this one, I definitely will pick up other books in the series. So that was my little book purchase for the day, although I guess because it's a pre-order, technically it's not a today purchase, it's a past purchase, although I think with Amazon they take the funds once it's dispatched, but it's always a fun surprise when you get a pre-order come in, especially when it comes in early, because I do have them all written down in my calendar. And when I saw that I was getting an Amazon delivery today, I had to look it up what it was, because I was like, I'm not expecting anything, and it was the pre-order coming early. Oh, I've just noticed on the sprayed edges on the bottom and top, it's actually got a different pattern. It's like some little goats on there, which is pretty cool. Really love the sprayed edges that books are getting, and this checkerboard pattern I really like. So that is today's update. I will update you tomorrow when, fingers crossed, I have finished my 2 March books from my TBR. I mean, tomorrow is the last day, so I mean, if I don't get them done tomorrow, obviously I'll get them read in April, and it's not the end of the world, but I would really like to get them read for March. I wanted to wrap up this weekly reading vlog, and I am really happy to say that I did finish the 2 books that I had left to read on my March TBR. So I did finish them like by the skin of my teeth, because it is the 31st of March today. It was very touch and go whether I was going to get them read, but I have managed to do it, and I wanted to share my thoughts on those. So the first one I want to talk about is Return to West by Corinne Michaels, which I had kind of briefly summarised in my previous clip, and I did end up really enjoying this one. I gave this one 4 stars, and the overall romance and story was good. However, I feel what let this down for me, there are a couple of elements that I didn't necessarily like. So I think I mentioned in the previous clip, I didn't really love the therapy sessions that we got to see. I just found that a bit, I feel like boring is the wrong word to use to describe therapy, but I wasn't interested in that part of the story necessarily. And then at the end, we get a lot of drama. So I was umming and ahhing as to whether I was going to go into this because it is obviously spoilers, but I am going to talk about it. So if you don't want to be spoiled for this book, I will put a warning on the screen for when I'm talking about spoilers, and I will take that off once I have finished talking about spoilers. But I do feel like I need to talk about these elements because they are some of the things that I really didn't like, and that's kind of what drew my rating down. So towards the end of the book, we get a lot of drama, as I mentioned, and there's a lot of things thrown in there. So firstly, Jessica gets cleared to kind of go back to work. She can start flying again, and she gets told that by the doctor like quite a few weeks ago, and she doesn't tell Grayson because she is wanting to find the right time to tell him, and also she's kind of processing that and how she obviously feels about being able to fly again, and she's thinking about whether she does want to go off and fly again, or if she wants to stay in town with Grayson and his daughter Amelia. And she doesn't tell him, and as soon as we find out that she's not going to tell him, you just know that that is going to cause a conflict later down the line. And it does, because when she does finally tell Grayson, he massively overreacts. He basically kicks her out and says like, oh, you can go now, you can leave town, and you're gonna leave me. And he basically breaks up with her there and then. So that is a big conflict that happens, and I can kind of see that happening a mile away. Then Jessica goes to the beach house that they've been spending time at, and while she is there, there is a fire and she almost dies. And this is all within like the last 20%, I would say, of the book. I forgot to mention as well, prior to her telling Grayson about being cleared for work, she also finds out that she's pregnant. So like that's 3 like big major things within the last 20%. Then Grayson has decided that he's going to sell his shares of the hotel and start out on his own. And the reason that this comes about is because he finds out that his dad has been his dad has been cheating on Grayson's mum, which is kind of mentioned throughout the book that he is not particularly faithful and has had multiple affairs. But the person that he's currently seeing is Grayson's daughter's mother, the mother who left his child because she didn't want to raise her. So that happens, and we also see Grayson's sister Stella kissing Grayson's best friend Jack I think it was, at Grayson and Jessica's wedding. And that's obviously going to be the start for the next book, I assume. And obviously that happens at the wedding, and Grayson is not happy about that. And then it kind of ends. We don't really find out how the fire started, or why the fire started, or what caused it. I don't know if that's going to be explored in book 2. And as I say, I assume it's going to be Jack and Stella's romance in book 2. But that is a lot of drama to pack into, as I say, the last 20%, I would say. Like 20 to 30% left of the book. That is a lot, and I did feel that this ending felt very rushed for this couple. They go through a lot and they reconcile very, very quickly. Because of the fire, Grayson quickly realises his mistake, and he's obviously very apologetic and wants to get back with Jessica. She's obviously got the trauma of being like in a building that was burning down. So, there's a lot to unpack, and that's why I felt that I couldn't give this higher than 4 stars, because of all these different elements that were just kind of, I felt, thrown in. And I do get that some of them are there to kind of progress into the next book, but some of them just felt you know, like, I don't feel like necessarily she needed to have been pregnant. Like, I feel like that was just kind of thrown in there. And yeah, so that's why I didn't give it a full 5 stars. But overall, I did enjoy it. And I can definitely see myself reading more from this series and more from this author. I think there are 4 books in total in this series. So I'm definitely keen to read the future ones. As I say, I think book 2 is going to be Jack and Stella's romance, which is obviously going to be a best friends little sister romance, which I always really enjoy, so I will be picking that up at some point. And then I did also finish Why Not Me by Mindy Kaling. This was a really quick read. There was only like 226 pages in this one, so it's very short, so I got through this very quickly. And this was my non-fiction pick for the month, and I feel that this book could have been maybe better if I'd listened to the audio. And I feel like that way about a lot of non-fiction books. I feel like sometimes the best way to consume them is via the audiobook, particularly when it's narrated by the person that wrote it. But this one is basically a series of essays on a variety of different topics. We do get little behind the scenes snippets of The Office, but not enough for my liking, because I do really love The Office, and that's kind of what I was looking for in this book. We do see her, she talks a lot about her TV show The Mindy Project, which I didn't watch. I think I've seen like 1 or 2 episodes, but it's not something that I ever really got into. So I didn't really relate to those aspects. And she talks about a lot of things in here, fashion, well, not fashion per se, but like her kind of perception on fashion and beauty, and how women are viewed in the industry. Like, some elements of this were really interesting, but I found other elements to be not so interesting, and I did feel in places this did drag. There was a whole section towards the end which was called the title of it is, as I say, it's a bunch of different like little essays, and it was a perfect courtship in my alternate life. And she kind of talked about what she would be doing if what she thought she would be doing if she hadn't made it in Hollywood. And it's told through like a series of email exchanges, and it's basically her kind of saying like, oh, this, you know, if I wasn't doing this, I could be doing this, and this is how I could meet my future spouse. And I found this element really boring. I don't necessarily love stories or things that are told through letters or emails or text and things like that. I don't necessarily love that form of writing, so I did find myself skipping over that section. But as I say, there were sections that I did really like. I really liked her talk about her friendship with BJ Novak, who was also in The Office. I thought that was really interesting. I knew that they were friends, but I didn't know that they were friends before The Office. I thought that they kind of became friends like on the show, because they were working so closely together, but they were actually friends prior to that. And I did like her talking about her friendship. So there were, as I say, elements I liked, but there were elements that I didn't really love in this one. So I ended up giving this one 3 stars. It's definitely not my favourite non-fiction. I feel like if you are a massive Mindy Kaling fan, you will probably like this one. If you like the Mindy Project, she does talk about the Mindy Project a lot more in this one. I think her previous book that she wrote, which I have also read, and that was called Is Everyone Hanging Out Without Me? That one talked about The Office a bit more, which is kind of what I was like looking for, like behind the scenes tidbits from the show, because that is one of my favourite shows. So overall, not my favourite. I definitely feel like I could have benefited from listening to the audiobook. I've listened to some of her other things that she's written. She did like a short essay collection on Amazon that's like an Audible exclusive, and I listened to those and they were pretty good, but they were, I feel like, more entertaining because I listened to them. I think this, in places, this was supposed to be funny as well, but I didn't really find it funny. I don't know if like the humour just wasn't quite there for me in this one, unfortunately. So as I say, 3 stars, like it was okay, but again, nothing really memorable that sticks out in my mind. And that is all I have for this weekly reading vlog. I hope you guys have enjoyed it, and I really do plan in April to not be kind of cramming at the last minute to get all of my books read. So I'm going to try and make a concerted effort to kind of read consistently throughout the month the books I have selected for my TBR. So hopefully I do better at that in April. But as I say, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in my next one.